Speaking of freak athletes, Caitlin Clark effect has now hit the WNBA. It has been announced today.
But the best basketball of the weekend, the best player in America, the best shooter in America, Caitlin Clark.
Did you happen to see the WNBA playoffs without Caitlin Clark? Chances are you didn't, and you're not alone. Very few people did.
And now she's out of the playoffs.
The viewership took a huge hit, plummeting from 1.8 million down to a mere 161,000.
I'm really intrigued because there's a league with players that feel like they should be getting the attention. Now they have center stage, but the ratings are going to go down. How far, though? That's the key.
That's not just a small drop. It's a total crash.
It's going to be, before the argument was, the league is much more than this one girl that came into the league,
right.
And we've established it, and hey, look at the numbers everywhere else across women's basketball. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's all of us. And then the moment the ratings tank, they're going to come back and say, see, we were right all along. It's all the racists that follow Caitlin Clark that were watching the product, and now they're gone, and we're back with our diehards. And that's the ratings that you're seeing, actual W fans, not WNBA, actual W fans.
Let me get it right.
That's going to be the argument.
Now, people are asking if the WNBA is facing big issues without its latest star player.
But is that going to be a headline when they dip when she's not playing? And now they have to go through the postseason. They're going head-to-head with the NFL. We pointed that out yesterday, which isn't smart.
Let's take a moment to discuss Clark. She didn't just participate. She transformed the entire scene.
Numbers are going to be up year to year because Caitlin Clark wasn't in the WNBA last year. So ESPN is going to spin this as a positive that their playoffs will be much higher rated than they were a year ago, even the playoffs without Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
But because they were so low, that really isn't telling you the whole story.
The Indiana Fever went from being overlooked to playoff hopefuls, and it's all due to her impact.
Now that Indiana is out and Caitlin Clark is out. So it's not a good thing for the WNBA. Ratings will go way down, but ratings will remain up as opposed to a year ago without Caitlin Clark in the league at all. So the WNBA is still going to be able to sell to everyone that it's an improving product, and I think that's probably true.
Can you picture going from being unknown to a star in such a short time?
If you're going to get serious ratings and serious numbers and serious improvement, become a serious league. And you do that by suspending someone who does that, especially after what she put online in regards to Caitlin Clark. You can't allow that to happen. And then I didn't know what happened. I didn't even know that I hit her.
Right.
Afterward. You're a high-level athlete.
I didn't know that happened.
You know when you you put your finger through someone's eye.
But here's the troubling part. Without Clark, the WNBA might face empty arenas and disappointing TV numbers.
I personally like this because this is a comparison point I understand. Oh, Magic Johnson was great. He could do everything. Caitlin Clark just had a playoff series like Magic Johnson did way back in his rookie year. And we can all understand that, right?
Yep.
But when did we start combining WNBA with NBA history? That's the first time I've ever seen a NBA/WNBA graphic. I know they're owned by the same people.
We did it, though.
But I've never seen it combined this way.
We did it whenever she became the all-time leading scorer in basketball.
It feels like the fun has ended and everyone has left the party, so we need to consider whether the WNBA is relying too heavily on one player. What happens if that reliance backfired?
Obviously, it's always important to give credit where it's due, and I think we all realize where the credit needs to be given as far as the success of this WNBA season. Caitlin Clark came in and made such an impact on how many people started to care about the WNBA. This was the highest viewed season in the history of the league.
Stick around as we explore why this is crucial for women's basketball.
In 28 years, the numbers were stellar. Caitlin Clark drew a whole new fan base into it. And now the question is, because she has been eliminated, she and the Indiana Fever are eliminated after losing 2 games to the Connecticut Sun. What is the rest of the season going to look like, ratings-wise, for the WNBA? Are people still going to care? That is the question on everybody's mind. Because when you look at the numbers with Caitlin Clark there, her first playoff game, drawing 1.84 million viewers. Ridiculous numbers. The highest rated playoff game since game 2 of the 2000 WNBA finals. This wasn't even just an opening round game back in 2000. This was one of the finals games. So this clearly is showing how much of an impact Caitlin Clark is having.
Remember when the Indiana Fever was just another name in the league? Now they're in the playoff race, and it's all because of her.
Remember, Caitlin Clark was drafted first, which means last year they were the worst team in the WNBA. It did not matter because this season they were the most watched team in the league. An average of viewership, 1.1 million viewers each game in the regular season. Other games, listen to this, paled in comparison, drawing just about 394,000 viewers on average per game. So 1.19 million versus 394,000 for the rest of the WNBA teams.
But here's the twist. Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves for her team. She's redefining the whole WNBA landscape.
People are already calling for a change to the WNBA format playoff because, like we just saw, I think a lot of people were unaware. I actually am going to be honest, I was unaware. I had no idea how the WNBA playoff format was laid out up until this season because I never watched.
The stats tell a surprising story that you might not expect.
I mean, come on, definitely disappointing for most of her fans who were probably dying to see her play at home because that definitely could have shifted the dynamic. As we know, we've seen it happen all the time in the playoffs, right? Playoffs, teams go on the road, don't do as well, come back to their home court. Totally different team, totally different look.
Let's dive into Clark's rookie year. We're not just looking at impressive numbers. We're talking about figures that make basketball historians take notice.
Now, one Indiana radio host commented this, quote, hopefully this run of games is the last best of three 2-1 format in WNBA history. Understand why it's been like that for years. But with the influx of cash, charter flights, and the Caitlin Clark effect, it is high time to modify this archaic format. Now we had someone else commenting. A best of three series where a team doesn't even get the chance to play in front of their fans is trash. Caitlin Clark got y'all in the big leagues now. Do better at WNBA and change the format.
In her playoff debut, she became the first rookie in WNBA history to score at least 25 points, grab 5 rebounds, and dish out 5 assists. That's not just setting records, it's establishing new standards for excellence. And it gets even more astonishing.
Additionally, and we've talked about it a lot, Caitlin Clark is just such a class act. She held her head high despite being embroiled in so many different controversies throughout the entire course of the season.
Throughout the playoff series, Clark averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block per game.
I mean, we saw dirty play after dirty play on Caitlin Clark, and still, she did not waver in keeping her composure. And that is something, as a 22-year-old, you have to be really, really respecting of, because a lot of 22-year-olds, you're not maybe as mature as you might be at other ages at that point in time. And she just handled every single situation with the highest levels of dignity and class again.
You know who else has achieved stats like that in the playoffs? No one.
We started to see just a little bit of a shift in Caitlin Clark, especially during this last game of the season. And it begs the question, after being demure all season long, is Caitlin Clark maybe finally starting to embrace the villain inside of her? If it truly exists, we don't know that for sure.
Not a single player in WNBA history has matched this performance. We're entering Michael Jordan territory here, folks. You might be wondering, sure, those stats are impressive, but what does it mean for the league?
We just watched one of the most unique experiences in the history of sports. And I'm talking about the Caitlin Clark experience. And it's gone on nonstop. The Caitlin Clark experience has been nonstop since last October, early November.
Let me give you a clearer picture. Before Clark arrived, the Indiana Fever was pretty much off everyone's radar. Now, they're a team you can't miss. Clark didn't just boost their performance, she turned them into serious contenders in no time.
You know what the average attendance is when Caitlin Clark plays home or the road?
What?
15,300.
Wow.
But her influence isn't limited to what happens during games. Clark's effect reaches far beyond the court. We're seeing record numbers of fans tuning in to watch WNBA matches. And guess who they're excited to see? That's right, Caitlin Clark.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch.
She's not just another player anymore. She's become the face of women's basketball.
There's no hyperbole here. Watch her play. She plays at a high level, highly skilled. She's the best passer in America, and she's the best shooter in America.
Think about it. When was the last time a WNBA player generated this much excitement?
Saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And then her just confidence. you can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. Crazy though, just because her shot is like that, it's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package. On the fringe of breaking that record, and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her, great for women's basketball.
Clark is attracting not just diehard basketball fans, but also people who have never watched women's games before.
It's race baiting rhetoric that's adding fuel to a fire. It's like enough with the racist BS. She's nasty. She knows how to ball.
She's making the WNBA relevant like never before.
Everybody else is jealous. They're pissed off because she's getting this, like, it's ridiculous. And we're never going to advance as a species, and we're never, if he keeps having that type of attitude. It's ridiculous. It's like, what? Everything has to go back to race. Everything has to keep going back to race. She's really good. Let it be that. And the other players should shut the hell up. Like, nobody was talking about your league. Nobody cared about the WNBA until that girl, Caitlin Clark, I don't care what color she is. She's ridiculous. She's nasty. And now people are watching and you guys are talking shit about her.
However, here's where it gets complicated. Clark has risen to stardom so quickly that it feels like the entire league is depending on her.
So, hold on. I think you're a great basketball player. I mean, I can't play like you do.
Yeah, we know. And obviously, I can't tell jokes like you do.
This leads us to a crucial question. Is this really a good situation for the WNBA? You know how they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, the WNBA might be learning that lesson the hard way. With Caitlin Clark out of the playoffs, the league is facing a wake-up call that has everyone wondering.
The league could not be in a more exciting place than it is right now.
Certainly, the attention on women's basketball right now is at an all-time high, and this league has been poised and ready for at least the last 2 decades for this moment. We have the star power, we have the elite play on the floor, but it's been a bit of a hidden gem. Well, it's not going to be hidden much longer, and a lot of that is because of this draft class and Caitlin Clark.
Did they just miss their big opportunity? This situation goes far beyond just losing a star player. Let's dive into the numbers for a moment. Remember how packed the arenas were when Clark played? Well, that's not the case anymore. Now we're seeing playoff games that barely fill half the seats. Can you imagine stepping into an arena that should be buzzing with excitement only to find it feels deserted? That's the new reality for the WNBA, but it gets worse. The league isn't just losing fans in the stands, they're also losing a lot of money. And I'm not talking about small change here. The NBA provides $200 million annually to support the WNBA, while it pulls in over $7 billion from TV contracts alone. That's not just a difference, it's a massive gap. You might be thinking, surely they have a plan to turn this around? Well, hold on tight because things are about to get interesting. The WNBA's marketing strategy, or lack thereof, is baffling. Believe it or not, they haven't even released a single commercial featuring Caitlin Clark. It's as if they have a treasure and decided to keep it hidden away. And it's not just about Clark. The league's entire method of promoting its players is under scrutiny. One analyst bluntly stated that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is nothing but a polished turd. Ouch. That's not just tough criticism, it's a wake-up call. The league has been riding high on her fame, but forgot to create a backup plan. So what does all this mean for the future of women's basketball? We're not just looking at a rough season. This could be a pivotal moment for the entire league. Without Clark in the playoffs, viewership is dropping faster than a leaky faucet. And in today's world where attention is everything, that could be disastrous. Here's the twist. It didn't have to come to this. The WNBA had a prime chance with Clark. They could have harnessed her star power to uplift other players and create engaging storylines that keep fans interested even when she's off the court. Instead, they put all their resources on one player and are now facing the consequences. Now you might be asking, so what happens next? Well, get ready because the solutions might surprise you. We're talking about more than just quick fixes. We need a complete transformation that could reshape the game. First on the agenda is marketing. The WNBA has been riding high on Caitlin Clark's success, but it's time to share that spotlight. Imagine a league where every player has their own unique story and fan following. We need rivalries that spark conversations even when the big names aren't playing, making every game feel like an unmissable event. Next up, the players themselves. The WNBA can't just wait for another Caitlin Clark to emerge. They need to actively scout scout talent, nurture skills, and develop the next wave of superstars. Picture a league where every team has at least one player who leaves you saying, wow, I can't believe I just saw that. But here's the catch. None of this will matter if the WNBA can't keep fans engaged. They need to create narratives that extend beyond just one game or season, building team identities and fostering rivalries so fans have something to cheer for even when their favorite player isn't performing at their best. And let's not overlook finances. The WNBA needs to diversify its income sources. Relying solely on ticket sales and TV deals won't cut it anymore. What about merchandise? What about collaborations with other brands? There are countless opportunities out there waiting to be explored. To sum it up, we've seen how the WNBA put all its hopes on Caitlin Clark and now faces empty seats and dwindling viewership while struggling to stay afloat. But it's not too late. The league needs to make some bold moves, develop more stars, create rivalries, and turn every game into an event worth attending. They can't just sit back and wait for another superstar to come along. They must get creative with marketing, enhance the live experience, and find new revenue streams. But here's the big question. Can the WNBA thrive without depending solely on one standout player? Or is this just the beginning of tough times for women's professional basketball? What are your thoughts? Share your ideas in the comments. Let's discuss how we can help save the WNBA.